Welcome back, MTN Nets podcast, first in-season podcast of 2025-26. The Nets, to no surprise, are off to an 0-2 start. I would say the first maybe 1.5 games looked very, very ugly. I thought they might win 15 games this year type ugly, and they still might. I don't want to, act like that's not a possibility. But in the second half versus Cleveland today, they looked a lot better. They outscored Cleveland 38-23 in the fourth quarter. They actually brought the game within, I think, 1 point after the Jaor Domen three-pointer, which that was the highlight of the game probably, or maybe that was the loudest the crowd got. So we saw better things in the second half in this game. But I would say overall, through the first two games, we saw the opener. That was on, I think, Wednesday night in Charlotte, and then tonight on Friday, the home opener versus Cleveland. A lot of awful defense. That's really the biggest thing. Communication on defense is bad. I would say the spacing offensively is awful. They're just not getting into sets offensively. There's a lot of bad stuff going on just on both sides, and it's just part of it's the talent, of course. I don't want to say Jordi Fernandez is losing the team in 2 games in. That's ridiculous to say. But I do think coming into last year with more veteran players, once again, at this time last year, there was Schroeder, there was Dorian Finney-Smith, there was Cam Johnson, Ben Simmons, if you want to throw him in there, still a veteran that knows what's going on. So having those guys, I feel like, helped keep things organized, but now this team is the youngest team in the NBA. I think their average age is like 23.9 years old, so they're bound to make plenty of mistakes. The Nets had like 9 turnovers in the first quarter in this game tonight. There was so much bad stuff going on. Like, there were back-to-back possessions of pitiful turnovers, even an 8-second violation today where Cam Thomas brought up the ball. Jordi Fernandez is saying, slow down, slowed down a bit too much and got a a backcourt violation. And then on the ensuing inbound, so the Cavs inbound from half court, and Larry Nance just dribbles from half court straight line to the basket for a pretty much uncontested layup. It's like, I don't want to sit here and blame Jordy. I still am pretty high on him. I don't really want to go there, but some of the things we've seen through 2 games is pretty rough. Now, as a fan that realizes that getting a top 3 pick is the most important thing this year, these losses aren't hurting me. I was actually pretty happy with this game. Once again, the first half was pretty unwatchable for the most part, but I think in the second half we got what we wanted. We got entertaining basketball. We got certain guys playing well. Our 8th overall pick, Jaor Domen, shooting the ball great. There's other issues with him we'll go over, and he had a couple of very rough turnovers in this game. But Michael Porter Jr. shooting the ball well, had a 31-point game. Cam Thomas had 9 assists. Like, you don't see that every day. Also had 33 points. And even Zaire Williams, who we talked about in the last video here, like I went over pretty much every main player on this team, and I went over Zaire Williams' 3-point percentage like the past 3-4 years has gone up every single year by like 2-3%, and I think last year he was at 34%, so I was saying like, hey, maybe he gets to 37-38%. Tonight he was great. He was 6 of 9 from 3-point range for Zaire Williams, so I love what I saw there. 25 points and a plus 12 plus minus, which was the best on the team. And yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell got the best of him, but he gave Donovan Mitchell some tough defense. I would say tougher than anybody else on this team. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about from these first 2 games. We'll dive into everybody that's played so far. No Nolan Traore tonight. He played in the first game. Did not see him tonight. He hit a 3 versus Charlotte, but not much else. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Of course, as I said, we'll make Nets reactions every few games. I'm not sure how often it'll be this year, but I'll try to get to it. I feel like tonight was worth talking about. So hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. All right, so I want to go over the first game a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but the road opener, I guess, at Charlotte, another young team up and coming. They're obviously probably a year or 2 ahead of where the Nets are in their development, but Charlotte beats them 136-117. I think they had 77 points at halftime or something crazy. It was pretty insane. So yeah, the Nets defense, once again, pretty non-existent. And I will say, like, for tonight's game in particular, it felt like, yes, the Cavaliers had a lot of open threes in the first three quarters, but it felt like all of them were going in. Like, Sam Merrill was out of his mind. Mitchell, of course, out of his mind for the most part. Like, it felt like every single open three, like they were not missing any of them. You have to tip your cap, but the Nets also played some rough defense. So anyway, back to the first game. Ben Saraf gets the start at point guard. That was a big question coming in, is which rookie, because we figured it was one of Jaor, Traore, or Ben Saraf, and Saraf started the very first game against that Israeli team, and I thought like maybe it was, they were kind of giving, maybe doing him a favor. Once again, a lot of the Nets crowd was behind Saraf that night, so I figured maybe it was that, but no, he actually was the starting point guard, and I do believe in a couple preseason games in China, I think they gave Traore those starts, but they go with Ben Saraf, and he's looked okay so far. I think he's had a couple nice moments. He had that really nice jump shot off his right leg. It was like a one-legged jump shot, right elbow, I would say. He made it. It was pretty creative. Like, if that stuff goes in, like, I think we're doing all right. And there were things about his game, Saraf, that reminded me of some really good NBA players. And yes, being a lefty, it definitely influences this, but I saw like a little Jalen Brunson. I thought there was a little Luka Doncic in his game, not a lefty, but still there were some movements there with him that I was like, I kind of see it. But yeah, that one-legged jump shot he made, that kind of was like, all right, I see it. Like, he also had 7 rebounds and he also had 4 assists in that first game. So that was good to see. Get me 7 rebounds. The three-point shooting has not come around. He's over 3 in the first game. He did not, I don't know if he attempted one tonight. I'll look into that. But yeah, he didn't make one in the first game. And I think with Saraf, he is going to have bad turnovers. That happened in this game. He had none the first game, so I'll give him that. But he had 3 turnovers tonight, and there were some bad ones by a lot of individuals on the Nets. They had 19 turnovers. Once again, they had 9 in the first quarter. So when you're on pace for 36 turnovers after one quarter, it's a rough look. So they calmed it down in the second half, but even Noah Clowney had 4 turnovers, which I don't know how he does that. So Saraf, yeah, once again, gonna have some frustrating turnovers, but at least there is some potential. I do like his crossover when he goes left to right. Like, that's a nice move. I've still yet to see him finish at the rim with his right hand. Maybe it's just not a part of his game, and obviously I'm a lefty myself, so I pretty much know how these lefties are going to play. When you're going right as a lefty, you want to do that step back, going to your right, and create separation. We see Jalen Brunson do it all the time. When he gets to the right wing or right elbow, he's very good at that. So maybe Saraf can develop something like that. We've also seen Saraf attack the rim a couple times. He tried to throw one down. It was either in the first or second game, of course. There's only been 2 games, but he tried to throw a dunk down. He missed one, and I think he had a dunk tonight in the second half. It was a nice play by him. So he's been attacking. I'll take it. He has size, and he's trying to use that to his advantage, but I think him playing against NBA talent defensively is going to be a bit rough at times. So, we'll see. He's still a young guy. We'll see how he goes throughout the year. Cam Thomas, his first game was disappointing. 2 of 9 shooting in the game, 0 of 2 from 3, was 11 of 13 at the line. I would say for Cam, there's been an emphasis on getting to the line this year. I'm not sure what it is. I feel like there just seems to be a real focus with him and drawing fouls this year. That's what I've seen so far, at least. There's a lot of guys like Brunson, that's another guy who does it, throws their head back when they get hit. Kyle Lowry is very good at that in the past. Like, when they have a guy on their hip, they'll throw their head back to try and get that call. I feel like Cam Thomas has done that a lot this year. It's worked out a couple times, but he's shot a lot of free throws. So Cam had 13 free throw attempts in the first game. He had 10, he had 6 tonight, but it felt like all 6 were in the first half. Like, I was sitting there in the first half of tonight's game thinking, like, man, Cam Thomas has been to the line a crazy amount. But I wasn't too impressed with Cam on a Wednesday. I just felt like he just never got into a groove, and some of the effort defensively was not great. And yeah, I just didn't like what I saw, but tonight was much better. Terrence Mann, he shot well in the first game, but tonight was awful. Like, it's funny too, because we have all the guys getting busted for gambling and betting against themselves, the Terry Rozier. I was thinking, like, if there's a guy that I watched in this game tonight that you think would bet against himself, it would be Terrence Mann, because some of these jump shots he took tonight, and I think one of them may have got tipped by Lonzo Ball, but some of these three-point shots that Terrence Mann took tonight were not even close. He took one in the first quarter. Yeah, it was early in the game, left wing, where he hit nothing but the bottom of the backboard. Like, it didn't even touch the rim, didn't touch the net. It like missed to the left of the rim and like skimmed the bottom of the backboard. It was like, what? And there was another one in the third quarter where, once again, I think Alonzo may have tipped it, but it was very short. And he took another one too at some point that was very short. I'm like, is this guy even trying to make a shot? So yeah, Terrence Mann had a very rough shooting night. I want to see what his numbers were. He was 2 of 6. Both of the makes were inside the arc, but 0 of 4 from downtown, and I think all 4 of those three-point misses were horrific. Nick Claxton looked very good in the first half of the first game. Tonight, he looked good in the second half of the game versus Cleveland, so I feel like Nick has yet to put together a full, complete game where he's looked really good. He got bitched by Jared Allen a couple times tonight, which not ideal, but, Jared's still a good player. But Clax is Clax, there's not much to harp on. I mean, you hope the free throw shooting is better. He was 1 of 2 in the first game, did not take a free throw tonight, so 50% on the year. I think he tried to take a step back 3 in this game, or it might have been like a very long 2. They gave him 1 attempt, so yeah, he tried to step back 3 on Evan Mobley. That wasn't going to work, although it was close to going in, so I'll give him some credit there, but yeah, that was not going to go in. And he took 1 top of the key 3-pointer against Charlotte in the first game. He missed it, so look, if Nick's taking 1 3-pointer a game, I'm happy with it. Like, take 1 or 2 a game. Why the hell not? Like, you're in your 7th year. Let's try to expand your game here a bit. And then Michael Porter, I mean, yeah, he's done Michael Porter things. He has shown some really concerning effort on defense at times. He's had some dumb turnovers. He's had moments where, like tonight, for instance, he was making a bunch of shots. Like, he's very good at going to his left as a right-handed shooter and doing that step back, creating space, and just getting up that great-looking jump shot, which, yeah, it looks beautiful when it goes in, but there's even times where I think it was Sam Merrill was able to strip him before getting his shot up because he knew what was coming. I feel like once Porter's going to his left, 9 times out of 10 it's probably going to be a jump shot. But the fact that he's 6'10 and gets so much elevation on his shot, there's not many guys that are going to be able to strip the ball or, contest that shot or block it. So it's Michael Porter Jr., and he's either going to make it or he's not. And I feel like we've seen a lot of his game so far, and we know what we're getting here. They have drawn up some nice plays for him. I know there was a garbage time bucket tonight. I think it was the last points of the night here against Cleveland, but plays where he gets wide open in the paint, they set a down screen, he'll get wide open for an easy, easy two-handed dunk. And Porter also disappointed me tonight because Jaor Domen should have had a wide open breakaway dunk, and Michael Porter tried to throw him a one-handed pass full court, and he threw it almost to the Nets bench. It was a bad throw. So with a better throw there, Jaor probably has his first Nets dunk. And once again, Jaor has been great behind the three-point line. Inside of it, not so much. So yeah, MPJ, he'll have his games. He had, once again, 31 tonight, 5 of 10 from 3, did not shoot a free throw, had 8 rebounds. He'll do his thing. I think he's a fine player, but you just know defensively it's not going to be great at times. And you're going to get some just weird moments with him. But I feel like it's been all right so far, so not too many complaints. We saw some Jalen Wilson in the first game. He hit a pretty big 3. Not a big 3, but a momentum-changing 3 that made Charlotte call a timeout. Noah Clowney has been pretty awful so far. He was 1 of 6 in the first game. He looked a little better tonight, but he was 2 of 4 and didn't make that much of an impact, I feel like. He had the 4 turnovers once again, where I still don't know how he had that many turnovers. This one sucked. Drake Powell was playing. He looked pretty good defensively. He did have 4 fouls in 7 minutes, so that's not ideal. And I thought some of them were kind of bullshit fouls, but he did hurt his ankle. I thought it was a foot injury at first. I got very concerned, and it still might be. I don't trust the Nets medical staff at all. So if Drake Powell's out for like 2 months, I guess it would not be the most surprising thing. But Drake Powell apparently is day-to-day with a ankle injury, and same for Danny Wolf, who I think got hurt in the pregame warm-up of the first game versus Charlotte. Like, I don't know how that happens, but 2 of our rookies so far down with ankle injuries, not what you want to see. And but Powell looked pretty good out there when he was playing. He had a really nice, like, his only 2 points were him one-on-one, I forget who was on defense, but one-on-one in the paint. It was a fast break, and you think most cases he's going to his right because he's a right-handed player. He did like a nice in-and-out move, got to his left hand and finished off the glass. It was a nice move, so I feel pretty good about Drake Powell, but this injury kind of scares me. Like, I really want to see him play soon, but I just don't know what to expect here. Like, I feel like I didn't get the best look at the replay, but I didn't really think it was ankle at first. I just thought he stepped on somebody's foot weird and something happened, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor. They know better than me, but I can't say I fully trust the medical staff and the reports coming out. And Traore played 9 minutes in the first game, made a 3-pointer. Didn't do much else. He had 2 steals. That's nice. Had 1 assist. But you do see the limitations defensively. Like, he does have to put on muscle, but the speed is there. We saw a little bit of that, but I don't know. It was nice to see him make a 3-pointer. That was good for Traore to get his first points. Daron Sharp, the numbers look okay, but the fouls are still terrible. The guy had 5 turnovers in the first game and 5 fouls in 14 minutes. Tonight, he had 3 fouls in 14 minutes, which I feel like for Daron, that's a miracle. Only 3 fouls. But even in the first game, like, he had, I feel like, at least 2 plays where he set illegal screens. And it's like, bro, you're in your 5th year. Why can't you set legal screens? Like, it pisses me off because Daron has talent, but it's just like he does these stupid things to get himself in foul trouble. It's kind of like Karl Anthony Towns to a degree. Like, you know, he's not as talented as Cat, but Cat is super talented and gets himself the dumbest fouls you'll see. Like, I feel like when Cat fouls out, 4 of his 6 fouls are just dumb fouls that don't need to occur. And I feel like Daron kind of suffers from the same thing. Speaking of Cat, like, in the first game versus Charlotte, Daron kind of had a Cat moment. He had like a step back 3-pointer from the top of the key and he made it. I was like, wow, okay, that's new. So I feel like he has more confidence in his jump shot. That's good to see. But I don't expect Daron to turn into a Karl Anthony Towns level shooter. That's not going to happen. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover for game 1. I you know, honestly, I hate to say it, like, that was probably the most least interested I've been in a Nets game 1 of a season ever. Like, I can't remember a Nets opening night game that I was like less excited for. Like, it honestly didn't hit me till like 4 p.m. that night on Wednesday, where I was like, oh, the Nets are playing tonight. I was like, you know, semi excited, but honestly, like, whether I watched the game or not, I was like, wasn't going to lose sleep over it. Like, I honestly was editing an NFL video and I had the game on the side. So yeah, I probably missed a few possessions, but I wasn't like super pumped to watch it. When Jaor Domen came in, like, he's the guy I'm most interested to watch because it kind of reminds me of Ben Simmons to a degree, which is scary, but it's like every time he has the ball in his hands, you feel like he wants to get rid of it. Now, he's not like Ben Simmons because he will shoot the ball. I do give Jaor Domen credit for that. But the problem with Jaor is if there's any defensive pressure, he's had bad turnovers in that regard, but it's also getting past his guy. He just seems to have this, I don't know if it's a fear of screwing up or what it is, and I've been there. Like, as a basketball player, you don't want to screw up sometimes. You want to be conservative and not have a bad turnover and get yourself on the bench. Like, it's sometimes tough to play with confidence. Some players have irrational confidence, as we've seen, but for a guy like Jaor, 19 years old, like, yeah, maybe he's afraid of making a mistake. I get it, and I'm not super concerned, but I do think it'll come around eventually, but I'm just waiting for him to just get by his guy and finish at the rim, maybe get an and one and just get us excited, because I feel like it's going to happen at some point. He made a nice drive tonight to the basket. He got stuck in the left corner. I think he spun out of it, got to the baseline, and there was only like 2 seconds left on the shot clock. And when he passed out of this, it was baseline. He passed it back out to the right wing. I thought that it was going to be a shot clock violation, but Zaire Williams, one of his 6 3-pointers made tonight, was off a great pass from Jaor, who went baseline. So we've seen him go to the rim a couple of times, but even tonight there was a fast break, or somewhat of a fast break, maybe like a 4-on-3, where Jaor was given the ball, and he was dribbling towards like the left elbow. There were maybe a couple guys in the paint, but instead of like maybe pulling up for a mid-range shot or just like taking the ball to the corner and taking his open 3 where I guess he could have got that shot, he kind of like froze up and like got himself in the air, which you never want to do with the ball, and passed it out, and it got tipped or intercepted by somebody on Cleveland. I'm like, you just can't have that. Like, I feel like he's just overthinking or something, but I will say, like, the jump shot looks really good, and that's something. I know the percentages at BYU for Jaor's 3-point shot were not great, and that was a bit of a concern, but when you watch just the form, and I think the form's important, and I know the Yes Network gave credit to one of the Nets coaches for working with Jaor to get his shot to look even better, and yeah, it does look better from what we saw in college, but I feel like when you watched him shoot the ball at BYU, and honestly, I watched somebody posted a video of Jaor's shot attempts at BYU. It was like a 2.5-hour YouTube video, and it was only in like, I think it was like 480p. So it wasn't like the greatest quality of video, but I still watched most of it. And I'm like, I see the potential with this jump shot. It's not one of those ugly looking jumpers. I just feel like it needed consistency. And I feel like they may have fixed a little something with that jump shot, and it just looks better now than it did a few months ago. Even back in Summer League, it looks better now than it did back then. And he's been knocking down his shots, and he hit a big one tonight. I think, once again, it was like the biggest crowd erupting shot at Barclays tonight. Unfortunately for him, it does not end in a win, but still, at the time, it was a big shot by Jaor Domen. But yeah, I still have my concerns about the handles, the confidence, get to the rim. If we're just talking about shooting the ball, he looks great, even defensively. I've actually been pretty impressed with Jaor defensively. He did a good job on Mitchell a couple times. He had that one stupid foul where, like, maybe he fouled him, but he also had one on Mitchell where he fouled him on a 3-pointer, where I wasn't positive that was a foul. He did give Mitchell space to land. He didn't land on his foot, so I thought that was kind of a bullshit call. But the Cavs actually had 2 challenges go their way tonight. One was the Cam Thomas 3-pointer, and one was, I think they called Mitchell. They called an out of bounds on Mitchell, but it hit off Claxton's foot. So Kenny Atkinson 2 for 2 on the challenges there tonight. But as I was saying, I think Jaor's defense looks pretty good. He may not be completely up to speed with NBA players yet, but he definitely showed potential. When I saw him guard Mitchell, although Mitchell was winning those battles, I was still seeing enough where I'm like, I could see this working one day. It may not be now because he's 19 and he's still skinny and he's still learning, but I feel like his defense might be a plus one day, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I don't want to shit on the guy. Once again, 19 years old, second game in the NBA. I'm happy the jump shot looks good, but I just get too many Ben Simmons flashbacks where it's like he does not want to dribble the ball inside of the 3-point line. That kind of concerns me, but once again, second game, 19, I think he'll figure it out, so I'm not going to, get too concerned about it yet. Cam Thomas, he looked great tonight, 6 of 6 at the line, 12 of 23, 33 points, 9 assists, which I think was almost a career high. Now, if you go back to last year, his last game he played before injuring his hamstring for the third and final time last year, so his last game, which I think was like February, was against the Bulls, and Cam Thomas had 10 assists in that game. So in Cam's last 3 games, he had a career-high 10 assists in the final game last year he played in. He had 2 assists on Wednesday, and he had 9 assists today. So I'm not saying he's a 9 or 10 assist guy, but I think this narrative that he's not a guy who passes the ball is going to change this year. I do think with the amount of attention he draws on this team, and there were even a couple moments tonight where he would get double teamed and still got his shot off, and he was giving Sam Merrill some fits defensively, especially when Cam Thomas got to that left baseline. He's so good at just getting enough separation. He'll give you that right, forearm, and push off a bit and just get to that jump shot. Like it's so natural looking when he gets to that left baseline. Like that's where he loves to shoot the ball. So I thought Cam looked great offensively in that regard, but even the passing once again looks pretty good. I think his defensive effort tonight wasn't too bad. You can probably go back and look at a couple plays where it wasn't great. He did have a, bad turnover or two. He had 3 total in this game, but there were a lot of bad turnovers. MPJ had 2, Claxton had 2, Cam 3, Saraf 3, Clowney 4, Dayron had 2. Jaor had 3. And Jaor, by the way, I forgot to mention this when I was just talking about him. That sequence he had where, what happened in that sequence? I think he had a turnover. The Cavs scored. I think Larry Nance scored. Then they inbounded to Jaor, and he turns it over again. It was like just a very rough sequence there for him. So, plays like that will rattle a kid's confidence, and you just want to see how they bounce back from it. And I will say, to his credit, Jaor played really well in the fourth quarter. He just had that one really bad sequence where it was back-to-back possessions before even crossing half court. So it's like not what you want to see, but these things happen, so I wanted to bring that up. I mentioned Terrence Mann. I thought he was betting against himself tonight. His shooting looked awful. Claxton was okay, but once again, Jared Allen had a couple nice moments, had that and one dunk where it kind of like rolled around the rim and went in. Jared Allen had that nice dunk in the first quarter too. I forget if it was on Claxton. Like I happened to look up and just see Jared Allen throwing it down. So I forget who was on defense there. Now I do think we'll see how it goes. The next 2 games are going to be tough road games. I think they're on the road at San Antonio Sunday. Wemby looking great already. Then they're at the Rockets on Monday. So 2 tough games, but I want to see if this second half from this Cavs game carries over. Because in the first half of this Cavs game, I don't want to say the Hornets are an elite team. I don't think they are. The Cavs, on the other hand, they might be an elite team. They definitely were in the regular season last year. But the Cavs defense was smothering the Nets in the first half. Like they had, as I said, so many bad possessions in the first quarter. It was really tough to watch. Like I was watching the game in my family room for a bit, and I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, this team is just horrific. Like there's just nothing. They can't even like get the ball inside of the 3-point line right now. It's terrible. And that changed, of course. They let Cam Thomas do some more playmaking, and I'm trying to think of what else was really happening to kind of get their offense going. I think the spacing got better because there were times where the spacing was so bad. There were times where like Cam Thomas and Jaor Domen would be on the same wing together, and like just it's like, guys, like can we spread out a bit here? So that got a bit annoying at times, and they just were not getting good offensive looks in the first half, and it's tough to score in that way. But in the second half, they got the better looks, and I think Cam Thomas and MPJ started to take over. A lot of it was iso ball, but still, I mean, these guys are, when they're in the zone, like they're gonna put up points, and to see them score 30 plus in the same game, it's probably not the last time that'll happen this year. It won't happen a ton, but I wouldn't say it's the last time. I'm watching that play now because the Yes Network has the encore, and they're playing the game back of the Cam Thomas 8-second violation. It was a weird moment, like right at the end of the first half. I forgot to mention this. This was hilarious. This is probably my favorite part of the game, which is coming up right here. I can't show you guys, unfortunately. But if you watch the end of the first half in this game, there's the new rule, of course, that when NBA players chuck up half-court, full-court shots, it doesn't go against their percentage, which I think is good because we saw it the last 5 years where, like, the guys that were taking half-court shots would wait until the buzzer went off and then shot the ball to not hurt their three-point percentage. But Nick Claxton chased down a rebound at the end of the first half, and he got the ball near the Nets bench and just chucked the ball. And what we thought was a shot. And the ball, I'm watching it now, the ball landed into the Cavs bench. And you could see one Cavs player who I forget, I don't know if it's Hunter or whoever, someone who was, in street clothes was like with his hands up, like, what was that? Like Nick Claxton, instead of like throwing the ball towards the basket he's supposed to be scoring on, he literally just chucked the ball full court into the Cavs bench. I'm like, it's not as bad as that Jarrett Jack meme when he was on the Knicks and threw the ball 20 rows back, but it's up there. I've not seen as many bad full court attempts than what we saw from Nick Claxton right there. So that got me to laugh. And actually, there was that weird moment with the fan, too, coming on the court with Donovan Mitchell. That kid actually looked like one of my friends. I don't think it was him, luckily, but that was a weird moment. Even though the weirdest part was Yes Network showing it. Like, the first time I get it because, like, he just happened to run on the court and the camera was already there. But then they took the camera off the guy running on the court, and then they put the camera back on the guy running on the court, where I feel like TV networks never do that because they don't want to encourage people doing stupid shit like that. Like, I feel like I've watched a lot of Yankee games, or same Yes Network, same network, and if a fan runs on the field, they'll take the camera off of that person. They don't even want you to see it, and the only way you get to see it is like if someone posts a video on Twitter. But in this case, they put the fan that ran on the court to get the selfie with Donovan Mitchell or whatever he was doing, they put him back on the camera. It was very weird. So that part was really odd. And I also wanted to bring up a big congratulations to Mr. Whammy, who is going into the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is awesome. Him and his wife, who I believe passed away, unfortunately, like a couple summers ago, they're both going to get into the NBA Basketball Hall of Fame. Like, that's awesome. So I love seeing that. I think Mr. Whammy, was he around with the New Jersey Nets? I think he was. Obviously, I went to plenty of New Jersey Nets games, and there were some fans I remember from there. Like, there was that guy, if you went to the Izod or Continental Airlines Arena games, there was always that guy he would wear like these button-down shirts where, like, his chest hair was out, and he would do like these crazy dances when it was between the third and fourth quarter. I don't know the guy's name or anything about him, but he was at every game basically, and he would just do like these funny dances between the third and fourth quarter. So if you know what I'm talking about, let me know. But then there's Mr. Whammy, who I believe I've been seeing him at games for a very long time. I don't know if he was in New Jersey, though. He's definitely been there since they've been to Brooklyn. There's no doubt about that. Apparently, yeah, I'm reading now. So in 2023, Mr. Whammy at that point had season tickets for 25 years. So yeah, that would be into New Jersey times. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy for him. I wish his wife, of course, was still here to like witness that, but still, like, that's awesome that they're acknowledging him, and I think he deserves it. Like, he shows up with the signs every game, and he talks to the players. Like, it's really cool. I'm trying to think like who else were like some big Nets fans. There was the one Nets fan the first, I think, 2 years in Brooklyn. The guy unfortunately passed away. He was a young guy too. Yeah, his name was Jeffrey Vanchiro. He was 38 and he died. Like, I remember like watching him when I went to Nets games in the early years in Brooklyn, like 2013, 2014. And he was always there in like this, I think it was a number 44 jersey. He would always have a different color undershirt on. And then like we found out randomly, like he apparently had this like sudden death. And even Brett Yormark, who was the Nets CEO at the time, had a statement about it. Like, that was pretty unfortunate. So yeah, we had him, and now Mr. Whammy is like the guy. So it's great to see him. I still love that he goes to these games. I know, I think the fan's name was Jeffrey Gamblero. The first name I read was not it. I don't know whose article that was. Oh, apparently his real last name was Vanchiro, but he was known as Jeffrey Gamblero. So yeah, I just remember like watching him as well. Like, I was at those Nets games in the early years in Brooklyn. I'm like, who is this guy running down the aisle with these different color like undershirts every game? And unfortunately that happened, and like that stuff is horrible, but it's honestly cool to see like the Nets community like kind of like show support to guys when that happens. And even like when Mr. Whammy's wife passed away, like I feel like the Nets organization was great about it. So they may not do some things we like player personnel wise and things like that, and we know about Sean Marks's mess ups in the past few years, but I feel like with stuff like that, the Nets are very good, and they're good at making their loyal fans feel like family. And I do hope, of course, one day, a few years from now, that this team is out there winning 50-plus games and builds a solid foundation, and everybody wants to be the next Oklahoma City. I don't know if they'll be that good, but still, like, if they can get somewhere near it, like, I'll be happy. And, of course, we hope that this core of Danny Wolf, Jaor, Saraf, Drake Powell, Traore, we hope that that's the core that can help us get there. So far through 2 games, I guess being 0-2 is not surprising. I think they look a little bit worse than I thought they would. I thought they might be a little more competitive, but knowing how young they are and having like young point guards, rookie point guards running the show, because it's Saraf with the first team, it's Jaor with the second team, and of course they would give Cam Thomas point guard reps as well. But it's not a surprise that they're having a lot of turnover issues, and it should get better, of course, as time goes on. I don't think Jaor and Saraf are gonna be like this bad, quote unquote, all year. I do think they'll develop eventually. But through 2 games, they've shown their weaknesses, that's for sure. But at least for Jaor, the shot looks great. For Saraf, the confidence looks good. He's attacking the basket. I feel like it's the opposite for those guys, right? Saraf can't make a jump shot from beyond the arc, but it seems like Domen is great at that. But Domen can't get inside the 3-point line, but Saraf has been good at getting inside the 3-point line and applying pressure. So I feel like they need to kind of iron that out and get to a point this year where those weaknesses look a lot better by the end of this season. So hopefully by game 82, we're seeing Jaor take the ball to the rim strong and work on his dribble moves and getting past this guy. And I just don't want to be thinking of him as Ben Simmons that can shoot the ball, because I still don't think that's good enough for a guy you took 8th overall. I mean, it's not the worst player, of course, but still, I have higher hopes for Jaor, and I think he would have higher hopes for himself as well. But I think that's all. I think I talked about everybody that I wanted to. I mentioned like Noah Clowney, once again, kind of disappointing. Tyrese Martin, whatever. Domen did not play once again tonight, or not Domen. Traore did not play tonight. Danny Wolf, once again, out with the injury. And for Drake Powell, we'll see. I'm not sure when he's back. Once again, I don't have the most trust in like the Nets training staff and whatever, and the communication, whoever puts out the day-to-day injury thing. I don't really trust that, but we'll see. I mean, day-to-day might be, once again, 1 to 2 months. Who the hell knows? So we'll find out about Drake Powell, because he's one of the guys like I really want to see play. I feel like his ceiling is higher than we thought it was. So I just want to see him out there, and we did not get to see him in the summer league. We saw him, I think, a little bit in the preseason. So it would just be nice to see him out there. So, like, I would much prefer to see Drake Powell minutes over a guy like Tyrese Martin. Like, no offense to him, but he's like 26. We kind of know what he is. Like, he's a good shooter and can sometimes make things happen off the dribble, but we kind of know what he is. I'd much rather see Drake Powell. So we'll find out. But I would expect the next 2 games to be losses. Tough games on the road, Houston and San Antonio. And then after that, they have a 4-game or 3-game homestand with Atlanta, Philly, and Minnesota. I think Philly right now is kind of healthy. I don't think Paul George is back yet, but at least Embiid played a bit in the first game, where I was surprised too. I thought he was out, because I turned on the Sixers game. It was the Sixers-Celtics first game of the year, and the Sixers were playing like a couple guys in the final minutes where I'm like, why the hell are these guys on the court? And then I saw Embiid was in full uniform. He wasn't playing in the final minutes because I guess there was like a minute restriction. But that was weird, so we'll find out. But as I said in the beginning, for fans that want the high pick, I would love a top 3 pick, because apparently like the top 3 is like where you want to be this year. It sucks that you can't guarantee it. Like, even if the Nets had the worst record in the NBA, they can still end up with the 4th or 5th pick. So not what you want, but it would still be better than where they were last year. I'll tell you that. But I do think wins will be tough to come by this year. I think last year's team, once again, more veterans, and they got off to a pretty quick start. I think they were like 9-11, 9-10 maybe, through the first month and a half of the season, and then they started trading guys. But at least now it's like they're just so young and so turnover prone. The defense is bad at communicating, and that should hurt them. So we'll see when the first win is. I kind of want to predict when they'll win their first game. I'm going to predict they start out the year like pretty bad. Like, I think they might start out 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, 0-7, 0-8. For some reason, I know this team is pretty good, but I feel like they're going to get their first win on Friday, November 7th versus the Pistons, where I think that would get them to 1-8 at that point. So yeah, once again, the wins are tough to come by. I don't think they'll start off 0-16 like that one year in 2009, but I mean, it might take a few games to get the first win. Like, I don't think they're winning on this road trip with San Antonio and Houston, so maybe they beat Atlanta, but I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, let me know. Let me know in the comments when you think the first win will be. If you get it right, you don't win anything, but I'll give you credit, so there's that. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to guess that they win their first game Friday, November 7th at the Pistons, or versus the Pistons at home, which is, 8 games away, or now 6 games away, but I just think the schedule is kind of tough, and this team makes too many mistakes. So once again, I did not expect to go long on this podcast, but this is now over 40 minutes, so I'll cut it there. But it was nice to talk to you guys, and hopefully we get to watch some entertaining basketball, and I hope that Powell's back soon, and Danny Wolf is back soon, and Jaor can dribble inside the 3-point line, and Saraf can make some threes. That would be nice, and we'll see if Traore can get some playing time. So we'll find out, but I will talk to you guys next time.